So it's back to German cars this week, and I've managed to get my hands on this 2019 Audi A4 Saloon. The underpinning to this car is actually pretty interesting because it's based on the MLB platform, meaning it shares components with cars such as the Bentley Bentayga and Lamborghini Urus. Anyway, let's review this car and see what this expensive DNA is all about. First off though, I want to give a big massive shout out to the owner of this car, Johnny, for letting me review it. He's owned this car since it's had 4,000 miles on the clock, and now it's at 10,000 miles. So if you would like an Audi A4 owner's perspective, make sure to send him a message and give him a follow as well. All links will be in the description box below. So back to the review, and there's no denying the Audi A4 is a very smart car. After all, it's a pretty important car in Audi's lineup, and since the previous generation launched back in 2007, featured the very famous dotted daytime running lights that was also in the Audi R8 and Audi A8. At the time, if you couldn't afford those cars, you kind of had to opt for this car, and it kind of meant it was a sales success. Anyway, the model variant in front of me is the 2019 Audi A4 Black Edition with a 2-litre petrol engine that's currently pushing 150 brake horsepower and 200 pounds-foot of torque, all to the front wheels, with a very, I would say, slow 0 to 60 time of 8.9 seconds. But that doesn't really matter because this car comes with a manual gearbox, and that's something you don't see nowadays because all new cars, especially Audis, are automatics. As for the 2019 model, they've introduced this redesigned rear bumper, and if you popped up an image of the older car next to this one, you wouldn't really realize the changes until you looked lower down the bumper, and you could see they changed the shape of the exhaust outlets. And even though, yes, they are quite big, there is no fakery here. It does feed straight into an exhaust. And also on the Black Edition models, you get this really nice black lip spoiler, which gives it that sportier stance towards the rear of the car. And since we're talking about styling, that takes me on to this car's design. So the problem with the Audi A4 and many other Audis in general is they look too flavorless on the outside. Aside from the A7, A8, and of course the Audi R8, it actually needs more distinguishing characteristics from its VW relatives. For me, it lags behind the Giulia, C-Class and BMW 3 Series, although there are some things that stand out that are quite appealing. For example, the Black Edition alloys and this imaginative line that runs from the front headlight to the rear. In terms of the rear seats, well, you get a bunch of space in the back of it, and it's extremely comfortable. You can also get this nice armrest, which feels great to lean your arm on. But what I really like in the back of it is the fact that the rear passengers get controllable air conditioning. It's a nice luxury to have. Next up, we move over to the front half of the interior, and quality is generally good. You get this nice perforated steering wheel and piano black elements dotted around the dash. But what I really like is the fact that you get a little designated area in the cup holder for your Audi car key, and it just slots right in there. Whoever thought of that is very smart. The volume knob is also perfectly placed right next to the gear lever. Usually in other cars it's part of the infotainment system or right next to the climate controls, but it's right there where your hand is majority of the time. Also, it doesn't just rotate, you can actually slide it left to right to change tracks. Nice bit of clever engineering. Moving on to Audi's MMI system, and we all know it's really good and smooth to operate. I'm sure you've seen plenty of videos online of how it works. But just going through some of the settings, there's an option for individual speech training, which means you could train the system to understand your voice better. So Scousers, you are pretty much now in luck. Anyway, that's enough for now. I think we should go for a drive. So guys, now let's go for a little drive, and I'll be honest with you guys, I have not driven this car's arch rival. So for example, the Mercedes C-Class, BMW 3 Series, the Alfa Romeo Giulia, the Volvo S60, and also the one that everyone seems to forget, the Kia Stinger, which is a great car. But from my initial perspective, it is extremely comfortable. It definitely feels like an Audi. The flat bottom S-line steering wheel feels absolutely magnificent, I've got to say. I also love the fact that on the outer edges, on the cup holders, you get this nice illuminating white light. It comes on at night, but it looks super slick. And also the LED interior lights, they are touch sensitive, so there is no button you have to press. Super slick. You can tell that Audi have been negatively affected by the emission regulations set by the EU, as even the Black Edition model comes pretty sparsely spec'd in terms of standard equipment. So yeah, obviously more equipment means more weight, more CO2 emitted. And that results in this car not even having the virtual cockpit as standard, nor do you get auto dipping mirrors, nor do you get wireless iPhone charging or the mobile phone charging. I've got to say, it does feel like a very familiar ride. I've driven the previous generation Audi A3 and the previous one after that as well as the Audi A1, and the gearbox, the steering wheel, it feels very familiar. But this 2-litre petrol engine, it goes when you actually want it to go as well. It picks up pace. Maybe it's better opting for the 190 PS version instead of this 150, just so you get more out of the engine. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be driving this car really fast, or else you would go for something else, because this car new is £36,000. Yeah, you heard that right. Not a cheap car. But the trim levels have all now changed. Instead of SE, it's gone to Technic, and you've got, after that, you've got the Sport Edition, and you've got S-Line, and you've got Black Edition, which is this one, and then you've got the Vorsprung, which is the top of the range 4-wheel drive version, the Quattro. Anyway, the indicator stalks and the wiper stalks feel really thin compared to other cars, but they feel, you know, premium. They aren't going to snap off, for example. The seats are very comfort seats. They're not sporty at all. They're just really relaxing. You could go on long journeys and it wouldn't feel like your back's broken by the end of it. Let's put it that way. Although you don't get the virtual cockpit in this car, the analog dials are just as good. I wouldn't be moaning if I didn't have a virtual cockpit. But they've been using this display for quite a while now. It first came out in 2012, and they're still going strong. In terms of boot space, there's about 420 litres, which equates to about, I would say, 3 big suitcases you could fit in the back easily, maybe 2, pushing it. But there's more than enough there. Not too sure how it compares to its competitors. In terms of the drive select, there are 4 modes. You get comfort, auto, dynamic and individual, and I may just pull over in a second and see what I could configure in that individual mode. How do I go into this? Oh, I really don't know how to get into this. Vehicle settings? No? Go back. How do I configure? How do I bloody configure? Anyway, for the time being, I'm just going to whack it in dynamic and see if it changes up anything, if it changes up the steering wheel. Oh, it's gone much stiffer. Throttle feel, that really doesn't change because it's a manual car, but wow, the steering has gone really stiff. The ride has gone a little bit stiffer as well. Visibility, I wouldn't say it's a saloon car. Is it good? No, it's more on the poor side actually. Visibility out the back is really bad. Good job this car has parking sensors, or else it would be a pain to park. I love the fact that you get sweeping indicators in the Audis, and I believe it is full LEDs all round. Auto high beam as well, which is nice that you have that, so you don't have to keep putting on your high beams at night. The Black Edition model comes with really big alloys as well. I thought it would eat into comfort, but it doesn't. I'm not too sure it makes that much of a difference, but if you are looking for the comfort factor, which I don't know why you would want more comfort out of this, 100% go for the Technic or the Sport. Audi just absolutely nail gearboxes. This manual gearbox is fantastic. I'm yet to drive the BMW 3 Series. I want to see what that car is about in a manual, especially. C-Class, wouldn't even dare. Mercedes don't really make good manuals these days. Do they even make manuals anymore? In terms of the seating position in this car, it's way lower than I expected, which is great. It gives you this nice sporty feel to it, but the bonnet looks way smaller than it is. So it feels like a little compact car, but it's not. It's a big old saloon, trust me. I also love the touch of the materials down here, just turning the climate controls, increasing the AC speed, the drive select buttons, they feel quality material type of stuff. And I guess we'll see if they wear out in the future, as this car is brand new, fresh out of the box, only 10,000 miles on the clock. So that's the in-depth tour and review of the 2019 Audi A4 Saloon. Overall, it's an extremely luxurious and really comfortable car to drive, but unfortunately, it's just good at everything and not excellent, and that may put some people off. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you next week for another video.